of men and the empowerment of women in the family, parenting and associated laws, child and drug abuse, domestic violence, and teenage pregnancy. Call in to air your views and make your contributions on 459-7885 or 459-7888. Family Matters,
It's
88.5,
11 o'clock.
Sufre FM.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Jabatis.
Good morning, Mrs. Maudimet.
Welcome to our program. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. I want to say a special good morning to all our listeners. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm hoping we have a very productive, very rich discussion. I'm hoping that many persons join us this morning. I want to send out birthday greetings to everybody who's celebrating their birthday today. I hope that you have God's blessings and you do have a fantastic day. I did have a good day yesterday, Ulan. It was my birthday yesterday, yes.
Happy birthday, belated to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jabatis. Yes, indeed. All right. And of course, thank you, 88.5, for always having us. Especially thank you to Ulan, who's a magnificent helper, host, mentor, you name it, he's everything. Thank you again. Yes, Dr. Jabatis. So, of course, you are no stranger here, but I'm going to allow you again to introduce yourself for persons maybe who have not heard you, and you're going to tell us a little more of your topic today. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Naomi Jabatis. I am the Director of Mental Health. I am employed with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Nutrition as of October 2025 as the Director of Mental Health Services. April is recognized as Stress Awareness Month, and it is very important to make the public aware of this because we have a theme for Stress Awareness Month, which is Be the Change. That means that not only you are aware that stress is a problem, but also that you intervene, you try to do things so that you can change the situation so that people are less stressed. Because stress can affect various systems of your body. It can affect the cardiovascular system, causing your blood pressure to rise. It can affect your heart. People get heart attacks. Sometimes you say, oh, I don't know why he got a heart attack. Maybe he was stressed. So it can affect your heart. It can affect your neurological system. It can affect your immunological system, meaning that it can make people prone to infections, make people susceptible to infections easier. It can also affect your mental health. So there's various systems. Among those I mentioned, there are other systems that stress can affect. So it is very important for the public to be aware of stress and to take action as to how stress can be managed.
Thank you so very much. You are so correct, Dr. Jabatis. And sometimes, well, stress is related to everything. And of course, it's a very important topic to discuss for us to inform the public, educate the public about. One thing, I know it is related to everything, but sometimes you hear persons say stress causes this and stress causes that. I'm stressed because of that. Of course, I know you're going to reiterate on what is stress and of course the symptoms of stress to us. Yes.
Okay, so stress is the body's reaction. It's a physical, emotional, and mental reaction to an extreme challenge, a perceived challenge, I should say, because sometimes to that person, it is a challenge, but then generally it is not considered for other people. But we cannot downplay what people consider challenges for themselves and say, no, it's something simple. So this is just an extreme reaction, which is physical, mental, emotional, to a perceived threat in a person. So people react differently to stress. Sometimes there's what we call the fight or flight
Fight or
reaction.
flight, yes.
Yeah. So sometimes they just move away from it, or sometimes they fight back. But then it can still affect the body and mind in many ways. So it is very important that people are aware of stress and the effects that stress can have on the body and the mind. There is also something they call burnout, which is specifically stress in the workplace, and it is characterized by symptoms of severe exhaustion. They feel very exhausted, and people feel like professionally they cannot carry out their task, and they feel very hopeless. So burnout does not affect only an individual, because it can also affect the organization. Because when people are burnt out, what happens is that the productivity is less. So it can affect the organization as a whole. So it is very important for people to know their limits and know what they can do so that they can curtail whatever stressful factors that they encounter.
Indeed, very much so. And of course, when you were saying it doesn't only affect the individual, you are so correct, because it's like a ripple effect. So there will be no productivity and so on. And listening to you, it reminded me of the program we had last Wednesday, where we spoke about self
Self-care.
self-care, how to take care of yourself. So it comes hand in hand with stress. So when you are stressed,
Very
of
important.
course, you have to be able to practice self-care. Well, not when you are stressed, even before.
Before you are
It's very
stressed.
important, right, to be able to do some self-care activities. And Dr. Jabatis, can you tell us like some things to look out for? Because sometimes you want to, well, not sometimes, it is good to look out for your brothers and your sisters. So some of the symptoms, even if somebody don't come to you and say they're stressed, so you can maybe just do some observation and say, okay, this person, I'm just saying, just putting it out there, not exactly that, because you are going to correct me. So I can just look at somebody and say, okay, maybe that person's face is a little darker. Maybe that person is not as focused as before. So tell us some of the pointers we can look out for, or even an individual themselves can look out for to realize I'm under stress and under extreme stress.
So some other symptoms you can look out for, if when I say you, I mean an individual, not necessarily you, can look out for, is that sometimes they feel very tired all the time, excessive tiredness. They can feel like they have difficulties with sleep, like they don't sleep well at night. Sometimes they have difficulty falling asleep, or sometimes it can be remaining asleep. They have those difficulties. Difficulty concentrating. You take much longer to do tasks that you usually used to do much quicker. So they have difficulty concentrating, difficulty focusing, difficulty completing their task at work or at home. Also, there are symptoms, for example, they can isolate themselves socially. Anger, they get angry very easily and for no reason. They feel hopeless. There's appetite, changes in appetite. It can be that they eat excessively and they eat a lot of unhealthy foods without caring about what they eat. For example, all of a sudden they would be eating a lot of chocolate, a lot of things that they know that it's not healthy for the body. And also there is also reduction in appetite. So it can either be that the appetite is increased, or it can be that it is reduced.
It is reduced.
Yes. So in that way, it can be also that the person gains weight or they lose weight as well. So there are several symptoms. You could get depressive symptoms and anxiety symptoms. Like in stress, you can get like you feel very sad, you feel very hopeless. And two, it can come down to the point that you can feel suicidal if you're stressed. So it is really, really important to recognize stress and recognize those symptoms in people, and then also like be your
Brother's keeper.
your brother's keeper, be
Yes.
your co-worker's keeper, be your brother's keeper, and recognize stress. And also, both managers and the workers need to be mindful of that, because managers need to know that the productivity reduces when somebody is stressed. So they would try to do their best, like to reduce stress, so that the productivity in the workplace is better, is improved.
I'm really happy to hear you say that, Dr. Jabatis, because many times workers feel left on their own, that
Mhm.
sometimes they feel overwhelmed and burnt out, and it's like the workplace offers no solution to that. It's like you're being paid to do a job, come and do your job.
And you
So,
have to do it, yeah. And
yeah.
little things can influence your level of stress. For example, even like taking a lunch break. When it's time for lunch, you take your break, then you go back to work. If taking a pause in between meetings, even those little things that they look minuscule, but they can make a difference in stress.
Okay. And something people need to learn to do. I was having a discussion recently and somebody expressed something to me. And I said to her, whilst I understand you, but one thing we need to learn to do is to try to ask for help.
Right, very true.
Persons don't ask for help. And I
Mhm.
get why, because maybe you've been disappointed so much or turned down so much, and this thing of confidentiality, many
Mhm.
persons don't know how to be confidential.
Mhm.
Nevertheless, it is not wise that somebody overburden themselves and say, look, I am not going to ask for help. So to me, this is one of the factors of stress.
Mhm.
Because if, example, you're in a workplace and you cannot get your work done, there is nothing wrong in reaching out to your colleagues to say, I need help in that aspect, or I need help in that regard, and so on. So
And know your limits as well. You could ask for help. You could know your limits, and
yes.
yeah, know your limits, because if you're feeling too tired to go beyond this, then you need to take a pause. You need to ask your manager. I'm sure the manager will understand that I'm tired and I need a break, and you need to take a pause. The other thing is that when we have vacation, some people don't take vacation in years, and
True.
that can be a contributor to stress. So even if you postpone it by a week or two, but not to take vacation, like accumulate your vacation for years, that can also be part of why someone is stressed.
Very much so. Because I realize what happens now, especially the public sector, persons are being sent on
Mhm.
vacation, which is,
Yes, yes, I
yes, it's a
agree.
good initiative. Because,
Mhm.
like I said earlier, some people don't take care of themselves. So sometimes somebody else have to look out for them.
Yes,
So,
very true.
yes.
Mhm.
With stress, Dr. Jabatis, earlier you did mention that stress leads to so much. Can you tell us, well, we cannot say all, but some of the illnesses that
Mhm.
are linked to stress?
Mhm. Well, some of them there is heart attack. When people get a heart attack, it is linked to stress. There is high blood pressure. It can be associated. There's something they call white coat hypertension. There's some people, when they go to the doctor, their pressure is high. And when they're at home, their pressure is normal. So that is a kind of stress that can lead to high increased blood pressure levels. Okay, so there is infections, for example. People who are stressed out easy get infections much easier than people who do not have stress. And we saw that with COVID. With COVID, there were so many people that got, and some people, even if it was not scientifically proven, but we realize that the people that are elderly, who are sometimes people that are more stressed and that go through more stress, are the ones that took longer to recover from COVID. So there's also neurological disorders that can stress can also influence, and also mental health disorders. Stress can cause somebody to feel depressed. It can cause anxiety, and it can also cause suicidal behavior. So all these disorders or illnesses have stress can influence them and either bring on the symptoms or make them worse.
Okay. Thank you for that. And of course, with the illnesses, there will be practices to reduce stress. And as Dr. Shabatis mentioned earlier, folks, and we mentioned self-care is very important to do self-care. It's very important to recognize that you're under stress, you've had enough. It's a time to take a break. It's a time to rejuvenate. So, like we were saying on the other program last week, it is not taking care of yourself. Self care is not about going and get your hair done or your nails done, going to a spa. Okay, but self care, of course, is eternal. Internal. Sorry, I'm saying eternal. Internal, where sometimes some deep breathing.
Yes. Yeah. You can take care of your. There's for example, you could engage in activities that you like and that are beneficial to you and that are gratifying to you. For example, if you like to sew,
Right.
you can sew. If you like to walk, and even if you like or not, exercising also is very
It's
important.
very
Yeah,
important.
to reduce stress. Healthy lifestyles, healthy diets, all that is important so that you can reduce stress. Because
Yes,
when somebody is stressed and they overeat and then they gain weight, they feel stressed. You could feel the stress. So when you do the exercise, you do the healthy dieting, and you start to put your weight starts to go back to normal, then you feel better. So these kind of behaviors also improve stressful environments.
very much so.
Yeah.
And as I said before, I'm saying it again. I think that retreats in the workplace is very
Yes, yes,
important.
that's very important as well.
Yes.
Yes. So
So,
it's also important to identify your stressors. People know what is stressful to them, but they just sometimes they ignore what is stressful to them until it gets to a point where they cannot do much more and they have to address it. For example, if you find that taking along going traffic, I always use that example because that's a realistic example, especially in the north. Okay, taking traffic on the morning to work, sometimes you find that you spend an hour in traffic, and then if you left home 15 minutes earlier, you'll spend much less time. It would be half an hour or 20 minutes. So little things like that, to leave home a little earlier so that you can avoid the traffic, can help you reduce your stress. Now there's another example. For example, people use, like, they spend extravagantly, and then at the end of the after a while they realize, I don't have money to do this, I don't have money to do that. So it is like budgeting and doing those kind of things can help to reduce your stress. Doing not hanging your hat where your hands can
yes,
reach.
reach it.
Yes,
Very much
it's
so.
very important. So it's very important to identify your stressors and try to work on them. So that's a way of managing your stress.
Very much so.
Another way is that you can think about your thoughts now, your thoughts, because sometimes just your thinking, which may just be your perception, but it might not be realistic. So just intervening in your thoughts, changing your thoughts, for example, and thinking of something positive, changing your thoughts. And that is the basis of what we call cognitive behavior therapy. You try to change your mindset and change your thoughts to something positive, because your reaction would be different when you think of something positive as opposed to when you think of something negative. And you can try it yourself.
Very
Sometimes you do something scary and your heart starts to beat. So
true.
then you change your thought and think, okay, I'm by the beach, I'm in the sun and that thing. Then your reaction, your body's reaction changes. So changing your thought also helps.
True.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, Dr. Jabatis, would you say that stress is linked to crime to some extent?
Um, I I don't think I can answer this question. It can be because stress is linked to everything. It
Okay.
can be to a certain extent, but sometimes it's your mindset as well. It's your mindset. So
Okay.
it may be linked, but I probably need to consider the specific situation to respond to that question. But then stress can be linked to everything,
Okay.
including
Yeah, because I'm thinking that somebody who's highly stressed would be more would act more aggressively, be more aggravated than somebody who is less stressed. So if you're constantly in the stressful environment, under stress, then it would cause you to behave more aggressively than others. Yeah. So
I am sure because we had there was a case of that young man in the U.S. I think there was a governor's wife that was not no a deputy governor or something in Miami that was recently murdered, and her brother, I think a few months before that, had committed suicide, and they say that he was involved in that kind of in the one of the shootings. He was not a perpetrator, but he was there as one of the victims. So as or one of the witnesses. So I think this, according to them, caused him to be stressed and may have led to his suicide. So sometimes there are different stressful situations that people undergo, but they just ignore, and it can lead to suicide. Yes, it can lead to stress and violent behavior.
definitely. And of course, one of the ways to help with dealing, navigating with with your stress is also to seek counseling, to seek therapy, because
Yes,
sometimes we really cannot do it on our own.
yes. Yeah, it's important to seek therapy, but sometimes, since therapy most times is acquired in a kind of tertiary environment, so you have to get a referral a lot of times. Or also, I think we have the Employee Assistance Program, which is a very good program that came about a few years ago. I think they celebrated the 10th anniversary. And I was thinking that it was just for government workers, but I was told that it was not just for government workers.
Government workers.
So it's a program that if you find that you need counseling, you can reach out, and then also they can assist. But there are other means of assistance. For example, there's 203, which
Yeah.
is the helpline. And if you call 203 and you would speak to somebody on the line, and they according based on the interaction, they would know if they should refer you further to a counselor, and that's a means of getting through counseling. Another means is through your GP. Excuse me. Through your health, your nearest wellness center, you can go either through the DMO or through your GP, and they will do the necessary referrals. But there are several means. It's not always easy and possible to go directly to the counselor, but then there are means that you can reach them.
And also, you can find out persons in different professions, like the social workers, school counselors, and all. If a person needs counseling, of course, they could call somebody that they know and let somebody direct them. Because, as you said, it's not always easy to get a referral or to get to a counselor directly. So they can call to find out, because persons have called me and asked me to recommend counselors to them. So, of course,
Yeah.
you could
And
call.
stress of like,
Go ahead, sorry.
go ahead. Sorry, Emma.
Yes.
You can go
I was
ahead.
just saying that you could go ahead and call the different departments, because, for example, the Division of Human Services, we don't provide counseling, deep counseling and therapy. But if somebody were to come to us, of course, we could refer this person further. So even if you don't, for example, Family Court does not provide counseling, but these are the agencies that are linked.
Yes.
So whichever, if that's the number you have for this agency, you call, and of course you will be referred further to where it
Yes.
is you need to.
Very good. Yeah. And some people, some one second. Some people believe that stress affects just adults, but it can also affect children. It affects
It
like
does.
as children as a toddler, right up to the age of 18, and adults. It affects everybody in different ways, and I mean different symptoms of stress.
Yes, I was just laughing because of what you said of the toddlers, because parents always ask the children, "Upani PSW is not stress. It's only
Upani PSW.
stress." So
And they do. So
imagine,
now I hope they learn that children can be stressed as well.
so imagine a child is coming to tell a parent, "I feel stressed." So you, the parent, will ask the child, What is really
What is stress
stressful?
about? Okay.
You have no bills to pay,
Yes,
nothing. You're
yes.
talking about stress. So I am
So you
guilty of
know,
it. So
yeah, you
sometimes,
know what can stress children? Problems in the household. They're there, marital problems, problems between their
yes,
parents. If they realize there's no food, if they all these things can stress children out. Because
very much.
children tend to take sides. They don't want to take sides, but sometimes they're forced to take sides. So it can be
True.
stressful to them.
Very much so.
So, so we
Yeah,
have to be mindful that our children can be stressed as well.
can be stressed out. So
Mhm.
parents, you're hearing out there that children are stressed as much as adults. Okay, and even going to school can stress a child out because um
Bullying at school
very much so. And
can
the
stress.
expectations of parents as well,
Yes,
because
yeah.
a child may be under constant pressure because
Mhm.
the parent is expecting high grades from the child,
Yes,
so the
yes,
child is always under pressure to
yeah,
not disappoint that parent.
yes.
So we have
And
to be
parents have to be mindful that not all children can be A students. You can have B,
yes,
C students because people have different ways of learning.
very much so.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful,
Mhm.
parents, how we deal with our children. And I've always asked parents to sit and have an open conversation with your child. Don't just speak for speaking sake, but hear them, listen to them, take
Yes.
into account what your child has to say.
Okay. Very true. Yeah. So
Very,
it's also abuse in the household can stress cause children to be stressed. For example, if there's domestic violence in the household between parents, if there is physical abuse, if there's sexual abuse in the household, because many times sexual abuse is it occurs. It is sorry about it. It occurs because of somebody who is close to someone who's close to the family is the one who is the
yes,
perpetrator of sexual abuse.
most times,
Yeah,
yes.
so a lot of times the children are close to that person and they don't
Or a
say,
family member themselves.
yeah,
Yes,
a family member or somebody who's close. So
close,
many
right.
times, yeah, the children are close and they're afraid to say who, or they've been told not to say. So that can be a stressful factor. Every day it's on their mind, it's on their mind. So it can be stressful for the child. Yeah.
And what is even more stressful sometimes that you find the child, the victim, is made to
Mm,
feel like the criminal because, of course, I reported this, which is happening to me, and now
yeah,
it is around that I'm the cause that the family broke up. I am the cause
yes,
of so much happening. So they
yes.
in turn start becoming like,
Mhm,
okay, so I'm the criminal, not the victim here. So we
yeah.
have to be very careful to offer support to our children who are
Mhm.
victims and not make them feel like they are the criminals. They are responsible for what is happening.
And many times the mothers are aware but in denial of what is happening. So the child feel like they're not protected because the father is doing it, the mother is aware, and or the father figure in the household is doing it, and the other parent is aware and they're not saying anything, so they feel helpless. So we have to be mindful of all those things that can affect children in the household.
Very much so. And then it turns around that comments like ifam. Ti mama
Mm-hmm.
la if like ifam. Ika
Mm-hmm.
meti had kut. Manye ka
Mm-hmm.
behave like a femuna, titi femuna fe whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is so wrong. And
Yes.
again, you find when children start cutting,
Mm-hmm.
self-mutilating and all. These are signs of stress,
Yes.
the signs of abuse, and
Mm-hmm.
so on. So we parents have to be very mindful of what
Yes.
we say to children, how we speak to them, how we handle situations. Yes.
Because when they cut because of most children who cut on is not suicidal. They say they cut because it eases the pain. That's a way of them easing the emotional pain that they're going through.
Yes.
So because they stress, it's extreme stress.
It's extreme
So
stress, very
mhm,
much so.
yeah. So for Awareness Month, we have a series of activities. The Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Nutrition is planning a series of workplace activities and also schools, but mostly workplace. We concentrating on workplaces this month. So they go into the activities just to just raise awareness and also take action, let them know what action can be taken so that they can curtail or reduce the stress. So they go into workplaces, both government and non-governmental workplace, because I mean stress affects everybody in the community. Yes, so that they can raise that kind of awareness. So the mental health community mental health workers and the health educators from the Ministry of Health are embarking on this activity, and they have begun addressing stress in several workplaces.
Okay. That's a very good initiative. And of course, I was smiling when you said that because I'm thinking that particular workplaces need to will benefit from
Yes,
this
yes.
stress.
Now you know burnout and burnout, the ICD-11, that's the International Classification of Diseases 11, um, placed it, I think recently, a few years ago, placed it in the classification as a disorder, is a syndrome, and it affects the workplace, but it's particularly described in healthcare workers and athletes, because these people stretch themselves. Because like if you're on call, for example, you need to go whether you're tired or not. You need to go, and also athletes as well do that. They burn themselves out. So like it's a sort of imbalance between your professional life and your personal life. So it is very important for these people to be mindful of burnout, because burnout can affect your performance at work, because you're a doctor, yes, or you're a nurse, yes, or you're a healthcare worker. But then if you're burnt out, it can affect the service that you give to your client or to your patient. So you have to be mindful of that. And then there are studies that say that somebody who's depressed or who's anxious because of burnout, it can affect their productivity, and it can affect the care that the patient receive. So I think managers need to be mindful of that, and maybe just place that, make it mandatory that these people take the leave that they deserve, they take the time off that they deserve, so that in the long run the healthcare of the worker is protected.
Very much so. And I was also thinking of students studying, especially persons who are going to school and they are working, who are doing school part time. So these are very high stressed situations where you're a mom, you're a student, and of course an employee. So that would take a large amount of concentration, energy, everything, and of course creates a lot of stress. So persons in situations like that need to be very
They need to be
mindful.
mindful. They need to be
Yes.
mindful. They need to take pauses. They need to take a break. They need to do things, engage themselves in other activities. They need to try to balance, which is difficult, but then they need to try their best to do that.
I'm thinking your diet, like you said earlier, Dr. Jabatis, what you eat, your diet um, is very important in managing stress. So sometimes we know that a lot of persons like to drink. For example, during lunch, you like to drink your juice after you eat your food. And after you eat and you drink your juice on afternoons, you want to sleep. So
Yes,
we call
yeah,
this the niggeritis. So
yes.
of course, putting all that amount of sugar and
Sugar,
starch
right,
in
right.
there, of course, would reduce productivity. So instead of the juice, drink some water, keep yourself
So it's a
hydrated.
fruit or something, it's a fruit. Because the added sugar to the juice is adding calories to your body.
Very
So,
much so.
yes.
Yes. So, Dr. Jamatis, can you give us so an example or an idea of some of the activities that would be carried out, would happen in some of the workplaces to address stress?
So what the health educators would be going to speak to the different workers and managers in the workplaces of several of the hotels, several of the departments of health, and Marcy stores. We know that these people are high level of stress. Marcy's, hotel workers, not just masses, but in general the supermarkets, because the long hours they have to provide services to the public, food and things. So and they open weekends, holidays, all the time. Yeah. So these workers are have a high level of stress. So it is very important they will go out there and have PowerPoint presentations and also interactive presentations with them, helping them to identify their stressors and to teaching them different ways and means of dealing with stress. They can also use relaxation techniques. I don't think we mentioned relaxation techniques and yoga
Yes.
as a means of dealing with stress.
Very much so, because when that's why I felt it very important for this program today to do self-care. So it flows very well into stress awareness. So the program last week would have mentioned a lot of the techniques to use to help manage stress. So of course, part of what we said, persons can Google, you could research the different self-care techniques that you can do, especially if you're at work and you need to take a breather, you need to take some time off. What you can do, certain little exercises, little activities you can do, like the breathing
Deep
techniques.
breathing, yeah, deep breathing, deep breathing. It works very well. It helps. It sounds simple, but it works well.
Oh, it
Deep
works very well
breathing.
because we actually did it on air and I wanted to sleep. I didn't
Mhm.
want to wake up.
It works well.
So it really reduces you.
Mhm.
And persons who are sitting, most times sitting behind your desk, get up, take a walk, go
Stretch your
outside.
legs. Yeah.
Yes, stretch your legs.
Mhm.
Because, of course, in everything we do, there will be stress. There is stress. And some persons are more stressed than others. Some situations are more stressful than others. So I'm happy that you are now telling us some of the things to look out for, some of the symptoms to look out for. And of course, in certain situations that are highly stressed, for example, you get yourself in an altercation, or you used earlier, even in the traffic, Dr. Jabatis,
Mhm.
we say
Mhm.
that persons have road rage.
There's a lot of road rage. There is a lot of road rage.
So there's a lot of road rage, and I find sometimes people really don't take the time on the road. You could see the high rate of accidents we have and so on. So sometimes instead of somebody's really driving slow in front of you and you need to go because you're running late. So
Mhm.
instead of overtaking blindly because you just need to go forward, breathe. Sit
Mhm.
behind the steering wheel and do some deep breathing. Count
Yes.
from 10 to 1, count
Mhm.
backwards. Um,
Mhm.
say the Lord is my shepherd in your head. Do
Yes.
something that relaxes you,
Yes.
allows you to
Yeah.
think
And
clearly.
even your thoughts, tell yourself
Yes.
that person is a new driver, a new learner.
Mhm.
Some time ago, I, I took somebody was very slow in front of me, and I went on the other lane and passed, and I was a little irritable because, like, I was thinking that person on their phone, and maybe that's why they slow because all of a sudden, then I said to myself, you know what? Maybe that's a new learner, and maybe that's the person is just trying their best. And that made me change my entire mindset as to what I was thinking about, that person. So sometimes you have to try to find optimistic explanations to whatever is
Yes,
happening,
very much
so
so.
that it can relax your mind and change your
Yeah.
mindset.
So just a different mindset can save a life.
Can save a
Just
life. It
yes, can
can.
just a different mindset, just
It can.
you stepping back and say,
Mhm.
look, there's a reason why this is happening. There's a reason for this.
Yeah.
Can
And
change.
imagine the two things I was thinking. Initially, I thought that person must be on their phone. So then it's kind of irritating. But then you say, oh, that's probably a new learner. And
Yes.
and then it changes your entire mindset. So your mindset is very important in the way you
Mhm.
move.
And something else we don't practice, and of course I spoke about it and I will speak about it again, empathy. We don't
Yes.
empathize because think of, especially when you have the new learners with the L in front of you driving and you're
Mhm.
at the back and you need to go forward. Some people
Yes.
will honk their horns and do so much.
Yes.
Remember,
Yes.
you are a learner as well,
Mhm.
and you enjoyed the courtesy of other drivers who were patient, who allowed you to
Mhm.
move forward, who at least made it a little more comfortable and bearable on the road. So you
Mhm.
now, who was an experienced driver, need to show that same courtesy to others when they
And you
reach.
need to just tell yourself, I started there. When
Yep.
everybody has to go through this.
Yes,
Just your mindset
very
can
much
change the
so.
way you.
And not just, and not only on the road, but also in the workplaces. Some employers forget that they were employees,
Right.
and of course the way they would treat their employees,
Right.
you would have to beg to wonder, did you wake up one day and become an employer? So
Right.
we have to be
Very true.
empathetic. So if we
Yes.
are a little more empathetic, of course, that would be a way of reducing stress as well.
Yes, very true. And there's also that workplace bullying and workplace, bullying in the workplace. It can, some other co-workers, they don't even want to go to work because of what they face when they're at work. So we need to be mindful when somebody is at work and isolating themselves, keeping to themselves, or not talking to anybody or whatever. You could try to ask yourself in your own mind, is there a reason? Do you think there's a reason? And it might not even be that the co-workers are bullying, but it can be that that person is going through mental health issues or other health issues, other issues. So it is very important, to just put yourself in somebody's shoes at times and not
Yeah.
be inconsiderate of your co-workers.
Very much so, because empathy goes a long way. Imagine, Dr. Jabatis, you came from home, you have three children to take care of, to send to school. You were running late this morning. You woke up a little late because you had a headache from the night before. You stayed up ironing and so on, and you're getting to work, barely making it in time. And here is this coworker who's already in your face and saying, look at the time you get to work, and and already you were stressed from home.
Yes.
So you never know what somebody is going through. People may be smiling, but you never know what they are going through. So many times, sometimes you hear of somebody who committed suicide, and you'll be like, "But I never saw that person sad.
Yeah.
I never thought." So persons carry a lot of mask around. So it's very important to be empathetic.
And stigma too. People don't share. They don't share their feelings because of stigma. Because if somebody feel that you depressed, they might say, why is she depressed? But she have everything she wants. She have everything. She's pretty. She looking good. She have a husband. She have a family. So why should she be depressed? And some of them actually say that. But why are you depressed? So sometimes people are just afraid of being judged, so that they just don't say anything. They just leave it alone, and they go through their internal pain on their own.
Yes, that's a point. That is exactly what I was alluding to earlier when I said persons don't reach out for help because, of course, of all the gossiping that goes on. So if we are empathetic towards our brothers and sisters, and you say, okay, if I was in the person's place, would I want to be spoken about in that vein? Okay, so this is why so many people are going through things by themselves. They don't
Yes.
reach out for
Yes.
fear, like you said, Dr. Jabatis, of being judged, for fear of being bullied, and so
Yes.
on.
And even we are people just believe if somebody has a mental health condition that they have to be either home or in an institution. So we have people with mental health disorders, like they have bipolar disorder, they have schizophrenia, and they're doing very well. Nobody knows. They functioning, they carrying out their normal functions well, and nobody knows. But then the minute somebody in the workplace gets wind of that, like there's that kind of isolation and stigma and that kind of thing. And these people are very smart sometimes. Sometimes people with schizophrenia, and I find they're very smart, and bipolar, they're very intelligent sometimes. There was somebody who got a Nobel Prize in maths. I don't remember his name. He had schizophrenia. So some of them are very intelligent. So not because somebody, and it's through no fault of their own, has a mental health problem, that they have to be isolated if they can function like everybody else.
Very much so. So this is why, again, I'm very happy to hear that educators are going to the workplaces to speak to people on in managing your stress, also to deal with your colleagues, because by because sometimes education makes a vast difference.
Difference, yeah.
Even persons with mentally ill relatives, family members need to be educated on how to take care of
Yes.
these relatives, because many times you will hear um, say a mental wellness center in Puali because bon mon para mo sa because he can fall in
Really.
a full impact money in mental wellness center, because so many times I'm hearing wellness is being bashed. They don't keep the people 2 days, they send them back already on the street 2 days, because it's like it's a responsibility of the wellness center to keep mentally ill patients.
And
But
people with mental illness, they have rights just like people without mental illness. They have their rights, okay? And the rights is they have to be what they call it, restricted as little as possible when they're ill. You cannot restrict somebody for 3 months and after 1 week they're okay. Okay, so the restriction is no, because sometimes you just admit them for a week or so, they get stabilized and they have to be out. They can be out there in the community and they continue the treatment, because there would not be much difference between when they're out there and when they're in the hospital after they're stabilized. All you need to ensure is that they get the care they need, they get a medication. If they're recommended counseling, they get the counseling. But they cannot be restricted because they are human beings and they have rights just like every other human being. And that's what we need to be mindful of. Now it's different if somebody is violent, aggressive, and a threat to people. That's
yes,
a different situation. But even those people that when they're in a right frame of mind, because some of them are mentally ill when they're violent, some are not.
yes.
Okay, so those that are mentally ill and if they are stabilized and in the right frame of mind, we not the judge, the jury, to keep them locked in an indefinite amount of time. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They have rights, they are humans. And we have to make our society as humane as possible as we can.
Very much so. So, Dr. Debated, question on this line. If, for example, I am a family member to a mentally ill person and I find it a bit difficult to take care of this person, can I call the wellness center for tips on how to deal with this mentally ill person?
Yes, you can call, and also there are community mental health workers that you can reach out to. They do clinics in all the wellness centers island wide, but it's just a different schedule. There's a schedule, but probably you can go to the nearest wellness center and ask when the community mental health worker will be available, and they can reach out to them and ask them for tips.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. I hope that those of you listening, you take this into consideration, because I remembered assisting a family or two by directing them to the psychiatric nurse, to the psychiatric team in the community, and they were so grateful to that. And of course, in doing so, reduced their level of stress for having taken this person all the way up to Castries, to the wellness center. So,
Because some countries are closing down their that would sound really scary for some
wow.
people here based on their mindset. But some countries are closing down their mental hospitals because they're making the care available in the community. Community workers and all, mental health. That area is an area where they usually have few people, so they're trying to engage maybe the district medical officers and the other staff, try to train them and teach them so that they can know how to handle somebody with mental illness. And then the mental health worker will be there, but then it would be like a secondary or tertiary level of care. After the general nursing or the district medical officer, then they will be there to provide support and to address the cases that are difficult. Yeah.
Very good. So, of course, the family would be getting in the community. It's closer, like more intimate,
More
where
intimate, yeah.
yes, so persons would be more comfortable going to their community healthcare as opposed to, of course, reaching out.
Yeah.
So they would get the help needed.
And
Very
I'm hoping that in the future there can also be different, activities in the community, things in the community, so that the mental health patients don't really have to go to the hospital for everything. They can get the medication in the community. Maybe there are activities that they can engage in the community, so that they don't really have to go to the hospital and they can live a fruitful life just like everybody else.
very much so. Indeed. And I'm hoping, Dr. Jabatis, that, of course, as we're on stress and knowing that some workplaces are highly stressful, that at least a mandates can be put together to say, okay, um, every 3 months, this workplace, you must have a retreat for your workers. The mandate that a worker must go on vacation within the year and certain things, because some people, it's like you need to take care of them because they don't take care of themselves.
Very true. And some people just feel they're superhuman. They just feel that they can go and they can go until they get tired, sleep 4 hours, and then go the next day. But then their body gets tired and their mind also gets tired.
Yeah. Also, too, I think that some people do use their workplace as their escape because so much is happening at home that they rather be at work than to have to handle, excuse me, what is happening at home. So,
So I think they need to address, like, just like their workplace have the stressors, and they need to address the home stressors now so that they can reduce the stress. Even some things like, for example, they say if you have a job and the job is stressful to you, leave the job. It's not that easy to do. It's not that easy to do because of the
this one is a really sore point, Dr. Jabatis.
it's not that easy to do because of the low availability of jobs. But then if it is that stressful that it would cause you to reach on the verge of suicide, then it's better your life than the job.
It
So
is.
different things, try to change a job or do different things.
I was recently having a conversation with an individual about this. And as well, it's easier said than done, let's say, because sometimes, okay, you, for example, you have a, just using an example, disclaimer out here, everybody, I'm not
Yes.
referring to anybody. I'm just using an example, please.
Mhm.
So, for example, I have a love for mathematics, and I'm a mathematics teacher. I went to do my degree in mathematics. And because at the time, of course, it's all about mathematics for me. But as the time goes by, I realize, hey, being a mathematics teacher is really stressing me out. For whatever reason or not, it's really stressing me out. And I think, okay, this is a point at which I think I need to leave teaching. I don't want to be a mathematics teacher anymore. But of course, I am looking out there and I cannot go and study it because somebody will tell me, oh, but why don't you do another degree in another area? Easier said than done because I don't have the money to do it right
It's
now.
costly time.
Very much so. So, what are the jobs available for me with a mathematics degree? So, very limited. So, because of that, I have my students' loan to pay, I have my children to take care, I have my bills. So, what are the options for me out there? If I'm
Well, the option is, like, for example, if you find that if you're teaching students in A level and you find it's too hard, well, go to primary school. Try to get a mathematics job in a primary school. It might be less stressful for you.
teaching on the whole
Teaching
is
on the whole.
stressful.
Okay.
Yes, so
Okay.
sometimes you don't want
Yeah.
to teach anymore
Yes.
because it is really stressful and it is very
So
difficult.
here another option. Another option can be trying to get a job in the Ministry of Education. Guiding the mathematics program or something
Very,
to that effect.
again, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that the options are very limited.
A little. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
very,
true.
very limited
Very true.
because with
Yeah.
certain careers, certain areas of study, it is more difficult to get a job than
So
others.
when choosing a career, we need to be mindful of that too.
Yes, so I
Because if you
think that
want to do something that, if you know you're stressed easily, and it might be a source of stress, then try to choose a career that you have more options when it
so
comes to jobs.
saying that, Dr. Shabatis, I'm happy to hear that you say that it would be even better now for us to be proactive and go.
Yes.
Persons need to go to the schools to help the children choose the
Choose,
subject.
right? Very good. Yeah, I think the counselor is supposed to be doing that to a certain extent. They call them what I forgot. Is that
Guidance
counselor?
counselors.
Guidance
Yeah, the
counselors.
guidance
Yes,
counselors
yes,
do that.
yes, yes.
But sometimes you find, because for example, with my daughter, when she
Mm,
was going to study, she loves science. It's all about
mm,
science for her when
mm.
she was going to do her CXs. But I in turn turned around and told her, as much as you love your sciences, I need you to do a business subject.
Yeah.
Because you need
Yeah, it's
something.
very important to guide the students
Yes.
because, and the other thing that's important to do is a language. It's always important to do at least one language.
One
Now,
foreign
yeah,
language. Yeah.
yeah. I noticed we just have a few minutes left, and I want to, I want to mention Autism Awareness Month because April is also Autism Awareness Month,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to just try to let people aware that also people who are caregivers of people with autism can also go through stress. Just try to merge the two topics.
Very
And we need to be mindful that autism is a neurodiversive disorder, and we need to try to recognize the talents, the positive in people with autism, and not isolate them and not treat them differently. But we need to try to practice inclusion with people with autism
okay.
because autism is a spectrum. And you have people with autism who are very, very intelligent, very bright, and then we have people with on the lowest aspect of the spectrum. So we have to recognize people for what they do and who they are, whether they're on the higher end or the lower end of the spectrum, and try to include them because that would also help reduce their levels of stress.
Very much so. I was just reading one because I've noticed that there are many activities around autism for this month, and there is HAPA, which is Helen Association for Persons with Autism. They have been hosting a number of activities. I think there is some webinar coming up. I don't have the information right now.
Mhm.
I'm seeing April 25th. There's also Fun Sports Day at Philip Masley Grounds in Viewport from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Persons can look out for that. And of course, I'm sure that the special education centers would have a lot more information on different activities to celebrate Autism Awareness Month. Yes.
Okay.
So with that, of course, we're trying to keep to our time as much as possible. Dr. Jabatis, anything you'd like to say regarding stress and anything to close up?
Yeah, to close, I just want to reiterate that people recognize that stress is a condition that exists and it can affect you, it can affect your mental health, it can affect your physical health. And to be aware of what is stressing you out, they call it just stressors. Be aware, and in order to try to change that, change whatever your stressors are, or try to make to change them and also change your thoughts so that you would not go through any of the disorders that can come about as a result of stress. So people have to be mindful that stress exists and recognize the stressors.
Good.
Yeah.
Also, I believe in doing a lot of research. Persons can do research for themselves. You're not going on air to that. You're not going to Google to diagnose yourself. But if you going through, you exhibit certain symptoms, you can, which of course, if you're at work and you know that you've been working really hard and you under some stress, you can Google some ways to deal with it, some activities that you need to do. All
But they
right.
need to they need to try to get sites that are reliable and recognized because some
Yes.
other sites give misinformation. But they have to always be mindful that there might be some sites. So try to there's something they call Medscape, or some other sites that give information that is reliable.
Okay.
So yeah,
And reach out to your healthcare professional as well.
right, yeah.
Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't try to do it on your own. So always try to reach out to get the help that you need.
And
Because
don't be ashamed if you are stressed out. You're a human and anybody can be stressed. So don't be ashamed and say that you're weak. It's not, if you're stressed, that does not mean that you're weak.
I think I think it would be safe to say, Dr. Shabati, that everybody has a level of stress.
Very true.
Yes.
That is very
So
true.
it's just the level of stress at which you are. So if it is at a point that you cannot handle, then of course you need to get some help to do that. Yes.
Very true.
All right. But thank you so very much again, Dr. Shabat. It's always a pleasure to have you. And
Thank you very much.
forward to having you again. So,
Thank you.
all
Okay.
right. All the best. And everybody do have a great remainder of your week. And thank you, although I got no comments today, but I know that you're listening in. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. All the best. Yes.